The Enduring Families Project consists of reenactments of 19th century Black residents of La Crosse and its surrounding areas.
I was going to ask about first month.
Oh, you have your first. Oh, okay. Our fiscal sponsor is the La Crosse County Historical Society, but the original historian who found all of this information out was Bruce Mauser. And he wrote a book about 19th century African Americans in the La Crosse area from 1850, I think, to 1905. And that's where our historian, Rebecca Mormon Krieger, found the information and put it together. And then my part as the producer was to take the information and spread it out to various societies, because it's one thing to know the information, it's another thing for you guys, the community, to know all the information. So that was my job. I went out and found money and wrote grants and developed interest in various organizations like the La Crosse School District, the Onalaska and Holman School Districts, the La Crosse Public Library, Greater La Crosse Area Diversity Council, historical societies in West Salem, Holman, and La Crosse. We have, as a result of this, we put together a video project. And I'll tell you how to gain access to some of those videos later on. But we got some awards for those. From the YWCA and the Wisconsin Historical Society. We started out with stories about George Poe, who was the first African American to win 3 bronze medals in the 1904 Olympics, and he lived in La Crosse as a youngster. Went to Central High School, and the rest is history. And then there's George Edwin Taylor, who was the first African American to be run for president in 1904, and he was from the West Salem area. His foster father was Nathan Smith. Like I said, what makes our Enduring Families Project unique is that we bring to life through reenactments the stories of residents from La Crosse and, for tonight, the Cheyenne Valley area. Ashley Shivers was one of the very prominent members of the Cheyenne Valley community. And here's an excerpt from from the story of Ashley Shivers, given by reenactor Isaachar Bryant. When you look up the video, which tells the Ashley Shivers story, you will see a picture of Isaachar and the other reenactor, Estina Haynes, who portrayed Ellen Shivers. But here's Ashley to tell his story.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Ashley Shivers. I live in La Crosse on and off during my young adult life with my first wife, Rebecca Bass, and I also with my second wife, Helen Wallen Shivers. I was born a slave in 1859 in Crockett County, Tennessee. My older brother Tom was born in 1857. When the Civil War ended, we stayed on the plantation for 3 more years with our mother. When she died, another woman named Joanna Joseph became our adopted mother. Around 1860, we met Edmund Smothers. He came to live on a plantation nearby. He had been separated from his first wife, Charlotte, and their 3 children. When it was sold, Edmund had moved to a plantation in Crockett County in Tennessee. He escaped in 1863 and changed his name to Harris to avoid being captured. Later, he joined a colored unit at Fort Nelson in Woodford, Kentucky, and fought on the side of the Union. After the war, Edmund returned to us for good and married Joanna Joseph. They had a daughter named Mary in 1868. We left Tennessee and headed for the rich farmlands in Wisconsin. There were settlements where free black men made their homes, so that's where we were headed. Thomas, Mary, and I were just kids at the time. It took us several years to get here. Why? Because we walked. We walked all the way from Tennessee to Wisconsin. Obviously, we did stop to work and rest before moving on again. We arrived in Wisconsin in 1879 and settled in Cheyenne Valley. Edmund bought a 60-acre farmland and township. Unfortunately, he didn't live long enough to see the farm bloom as he envisioned. He passed away just a few years in 1882. During this time, another family moved to the valley, the Bass family. He had came from North Carolina and Georgia, and it wasn't long before I started seeing their daughter, Rebecca Bass. We were married in 1882. The marriage lasted about 8 years, and we did have 3 children together. But things didn't work out for us. We were separated around 1890 and officially divorced in 1892. Thomas loved farming. He had many plans for the farm. He bought more land and eventually had the largest black-owned farm in Wisconsin, 250 acres. Thomas's son, Alger, my nephew, was also a very progressive farmer in the region. He was a pioneer in building round barns and helped build most of the round barns in southwestern Wisconsin. My heart was never into farming though, so I moved to La Crosse with Rebecca and our children. I worked as an apprentice in the Boston Sun barbershop, and that's when I realized I'd rather be a barber than a farmer. Rebecca and I had our 3rd child, Claude, in 1890, but this didn't save our marriage. Within a year of Claude's birth, we were separated. I returned to the valley in the spring to help with the farming, and that's when I started seeing my second wife, Ellen. My divorce from Rebecca was finalized in 1892. Ellen and I were married in 1893. We decided to leave Cheyenne Valley for good. So we moved to La Crosse, and I started my barbershop business here. During this time, Ellen and I had 5 children between 1895 and 1905. Sadly, one of them, John, actually died as a baby. He is buried at the Oak Grove Cemetery in La Crosse. In spite of our tragedy, the house was always full with children from my first marriage with Rebecca and as well with my second marriage with Ellen. I offered apprenticeships to young men, just like the other black barbers did. I also taught them how to read and write and how to start their own businesses. For a short time, my brother-in-law, Zacharias Moss, and I took in Charles Lovett. He's Berletta's son, my sister-in-law. He had been a handful of troublesome kid. The kid just started problems. And he also lived in Sparta after his father died. Thankfully, Zach and I had a boxing ring in the back of his shop. So Charles was able to vent some steam and eventually he settled down. He got married and he also opened a shop nearby the Moss and Son barbershop. Ellen and I both had comfortable lives in this area. We did very well financially. our families eventually moved to Madison and continue in the barbershop business, we remained in Madison for the rest of our lives. I passed away first in 1937. Ellen left this earth the following year in 1938. Thank you for listening to our story.
Thank you, Ashley. Um, as was mentioned, let's see, where are we here? Number 7. No. As, keep going down. Down. We want this one. As was mentioned, Ashley had a brother. The two of them came from Tennessee and walked up to La Crosse. And the brother's name was Thomas Shivers. Thomas Shivers married Millie Shivers in 1882. And they had 6 children together. Edgar, Cora, and Alja are mentioned. Cora's in the lower right. You see Alja, and you see Henry, who's not in our videos, but he was another son of Ashley Shivers. Next, please. Thomas stayed in Cheyenne Valley and owned and settled into farming, as Ashley said, owning 250. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have kept it there. Because that's his property. That's Thomas Shivers' property. Okay, so that's a smidgen of the 250 acres that he had. How do I know this? Because one of our tourists, Barb Stanek, who is a sort of descendant of Thomas Shivers, took us out there and said that was some of Thomas Shivers' property. Okay, so they settled, and so the Shivers family settled into farming. Edgar lived his entire life on the farm, but Edgar died suddenly at the age of 41 in 1940. Cora moved to Minneapolis. She married twice and had 1 son. Thomas's sister also ended up in Minneapolis. Now, Thomas died in 1978 at the age of 101. He ended up moving to Los Angeles and lived with another son, Marvin. There are pictures of Marvin, but couldn't get him. But in the meantime, Ashley, next one, was born in Cheyenne Valley. He was an outstanding athlete. He played baseball for Mount Tabor. And if you get a chance to look at one of these pamphlets, you'll see the Mount Tabor scene in one of the pamphlets. Okay. He was an active member of the Hillsboro Wesleyan Church. He was a veteran of World War I. He served with the Buffalo Soldiers during World War I. He was in the 183rd Infantry Brigade, which was segregated at the time. And if you look at those pictures of the Mount Tabor unit, they were integrated. The races got along at a time when in a lot of the country, the races legally did not get along. But Cheyenne Valley was a very special place. So after he came back, he started making round barns. There are a total of 15 barns, and I purchased this book, Barns Without Corners, here a few years ago. I don't know if they have any more copies, but this goes into detail about the round barns that Ashley Shivers had a part in putting together. Let's see. So the details are in the book, which was written by Kevin Alderson, which is a board member here. Okay, so next one. He married Flora Revels Walden in 1947, and they didn't have children, but they took in many relatives. And Barb Stanek is one of the people who was raised by Alja and Flora, and she's the one that gives tours, and she's the one that took us out to where Thomas Shivers had the property that I had mentioned. Okay, there are other people that were involved with the settling of Cheyenne Valley. One of them, next, is Mariah Walden. Hello, everyone. My name is Mariah Walden. My family was raised in Cheyenne Valley. My Micaiah and Morning Rebels were my grandparents, and they settled in Cheyenne Valley below Wildcat Mountain in 1854. Anyway, my grandparents were one of 11 multiracial families who traveled from Indiana. They were fleeing this Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. They'd first been in North Carolina, but had to leave. They had to leave. Then the same story, Indiana. Now these families carried children with them, and whatever necessities they had all fit into farm wagons. The move was expected. These were runaway slaves and free people of color. Now, the Fugitive Slave Law Act endangered the lives of every person of color. So they had to leave. Now, coming to Wisconsin was the best location. Wisconsin had rejected the Fugitive Slave Act and did not send people of color back. As a result, many families of color came to Wisconsin and settled in Cheyenne Valley. Our grandparents, the Rebels, the Basses, the Waldrons, the Roberts, and of course, the Shivers. There were more. There's a plaque in the middle of Hillsboro with the names of the families that settled there. Now, my grandparents, the Rebels, had a large family. Their daughter, their daughter, Elizabeth Walden, married Sam Walden, and those are my parents. I am Mariah Walden. I had other twin brothers, Sherman and Sheridan, and we got along together just fine. There is an example of the school that we went to, Eastman School, and you'll see that it's mixed. Okay, so we had a good life growing up. We all attended school together at Eastman School. Sports teams consisted of us all supporting each other. We were all members of a local church. We all eventually moved away. Berletta met her husband in La Crosse at their August ball. They were married for 9 years before he died of a fever. She later moved to Sparta with her family, but then moved to La Crosse. Next, please. Ellen and Emma also settled in La Crosse. Emma married Zachariah Moss and remained in La Crosse with her family, and he set up a successful barbershop business there, which continued for several generations. Ellen married Ashley Shivers, as Mr. Shivers said, and they stayed in La Crosse too, but eventually moved to Madison, where they remained. Now, Ashley's brother, Thomas, stayed and made a life for himself and his family. He was a progressive farmer, and some of this you've heard already. He had 6 children. His son Marvin moved to Los Angeles, and that's where he lived at the time of his death. Next, please. There is a plaque in Hillsborough that gives a tribute to the early African American settlers that came here. It was a very integrated community, which contrasted with what was happening in the world. And Alja had gotten a taste of that being in a segregated unit during World War I. I, Mariah, lived for a while in Sparta with my brothers Sherman and Sheridan, and then I moved back to La Crosse after Sherman's death. Now, Berletta's son, as Mr. Shivers said, Charles, had a barber shop in La Crosse with the boxing ring that he had been able to vent his frustrations out with after the death of his father. My nieces Margaret and Ellen moved to Minneapolis after after my mother, Berletta, died. They purchased a house, turned it into a boarding house. Many families came to the Cheyenne Valley for many reasons. So Cheyenne Valley wasn't the only area where Black families resided, but it was one of the more prominent locations. As the plaque states, as mobility and industrialization increased, many found their ways to other locations. But there are some descendants still here, and one of them in the flesh, and one of them we'll talk about later. But we'll go into that later. But that is the story of Mariah Walden. Thank you. Okay, now back to me. There is next one, please. Now these are all various people, descendants. Well, actually, the ancestors who moved here. Now, yearly, next one. Yearly, there is a celebration to commemorate the people. These are the descendants of the people that settled here. As you'll see, on the right are my in-laws, Eddie and Sandy Waldron, and the center one is, now she is a descendant of Rebecca and Ashley Shivers. Forgot her name, but that's her. And there's another relative on the right. But these were some of the people at one of the reunions that I went to a few years later. And they get together each year, and Barbara's one of the many people that gives tours of Cheyenne Valley, and that's a picture that we all got together in at, this was a few years ago. One of the places that Barb takes us to is Forest Cemetery, where we see the graves of many of the ancestors. Now this, you'll see these are the graves of mourning rebels and Micaiah rebels, and they were the ones that came in the 1850s. And there are several others there that have been talked about. So it's a very special place. Renisa, who you met earlier, is a descendant of one of the settlers, and she can tell you about that. But these are some of the people that I forgot what I was going to say. But these are the descendants. These are some of the settlers that came. Okay. Now the Enduring Families Project took it upon ourselves to do a video project about the lives of various people in La Crosse and in Cheyenne Valley. Let's skip ahead. And One of the people that we did a reenactment for was Ashley Shivers, and he's the one in the far right with the suit on, and we pretended that he was in a school talking about round barns. And I was thankful enough to recruit a class from the area who was an integrated class to recreate that picture that you saw in the Eastman School District. There is a school museum in Berry Mills called the Smith Valley Museum, and it's very period, and that's where we taped that. And next one, please. And here are more pictures of reenactors. Dodie Whitaker portrayed Berletta Walden. She was the sister of Mariah, and she was the sister of Ashley's wife Ellen, and Emma uh, Emma Moss, who married Zach Moss. So she portrayed Berletta, and then the other one, we were fortunate enough to um, visit a farm right outside of Nathan Hill, which is on Highway 16. There's a big farm there, and Ashley Shivers has the thingy on his right shoulder, and there's Tom Shivers in the middle, and Edgar, who died young at the age of 41. And in between is, well, that's me, and the other guy is Phil Addis, who was the videographer for the videos. So we took some pictures there. Next one. If you want to see more of our videos, you can go to our website, which is part of the website of the La Crosse County Historical Society. And if you go there and click Enduring Families and then click Video Project, you will be able to see more videos from what we did. So these are this is who we are. And again, what makes our history project unique is that we bring to life through reenactments the stories of the people, and the videos really help with that. There were several historical homes that we used in West Salem and in La Crosse, and then the school in Berry Mills. So we try to be as authentic as you can be in a 21st century society. But I think we were able to give the viewer a hint of what life may have been like. So hopefully you can go to the website and see more of this. Mariah's not in any of them. I wanted to tonight to tell about someone that's not in the videos, because you can go to the videos and see what you can see. But this was from a different point of view, and I hope you have enjoyed our presentation. Thank you. Okay, questions?
Illinois was also a free state. Were there?
Say that again.
Illinois was also a free state.
Okay.
Were there integrated communities in Illinois?
I just know there was a Roberts one in Indiana. I bet Kevin would know about that.
Illinois had a big, like, a huge area south of Chicago. I'm making 60 miles, and it was like half a county of black.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know the name.
Was
but
it integrated or just black?
Well, they had to be integrated because of the white neighbors. It had to work.
Because of what?
The white neighbors.
Okay.
They were neighbors. Neighbors are different than race. Neighbors are neighbors.
But we wanted to focus, and the grant money was for finding more about what was happening here, because it makes it real. How many times have you passed by on Highway 16 and seen Nathan Hill without realizing that he was the foster father of the first African American to run for president in 1904?
Yeah.
So, and that was here. I mean, well, not here, but in the area.
Yeah.
And the plaques that are in Hillsborough, that's right down the road. So the money for the grants was to focus on what was going on in Wisconsin. So that's why my knowledge of stuff outside of Wisconsin isn't quite plentiful.
There's a statue of the athlete who went to the
George Polk,
in lacrosse.
absolutely. Polk Park, and there are statues of him going through the cause he 200 and 400 meter thingies were the ones that he got hurdles.
That was a hurdle.
Were the ones that he got the three medals for. So yes, so that Polk Park, yes.
Do you have any information on Otis Arms and his wife?
Oh, Kevin Wood. And Renisa might.
I was just curious, 'cause I'm old enough, I remember Algie and Otis.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I remember Algie.
You remember Algie?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
He and my grandfather were playing
sweetest man in the world.
Valley's Hammered, but.
That is so cool. Can we go back to the plaque? Okay, yeah. Because that mentions all the people that, the settlers.
The arms is right.
Okay, they're mentioned.
They're all mentioned on the two plaques on either side of the
When
thing.
did
Oh,
Algie
thank
die?
you, whoever did that.
So, so those are the families that came.
Did Walden turn into Walden with an R? He died in 1970.
Renisa, do you know anything about the name change between Walden and Waldron?
Well, there's quite a few changes. There's Winchell's that went from one L to two L's.
Okay, but
There's Waldrons, there's Waldens.
but are they the same
They're the
thread?
same family.
Okay,
Same as the Winchell's. If you go back far enough, they do connect.
okay, and Renisa is a descendant of, remember I said that the Micaiah and Morning had a lot of children? 13, okay. We talk about Ellen and Samuel, who were from one branch. Renisa, who's your branch? Who were the rebel?
I am from Henry, Mackenzie and Morning's son Henry, through my mother and my father.
So, they would have been like 6 cousins to, they would have been first cousins to Ellen and Emma and Mariah and all of them. So that's the connection. So there were 13 branches and she's from one branch and the people in our videos are from another branch.
Not to draw attention to me, so don't look, but my grandmother was in Rebels.
Okay, do you know which branch?
I don't, but we're, Rebels and Roberts are, my relatives.
Okay,
There's a lot of intermarriages.
okay.
Brothers and sisters marrying brothers and sisters.
Like my mom used to tell me, her family, my mother was a Melvin from Lafarge. And, she used to tell me that they would pack up the car and on Sundays go to Algie Sugar's farm and have lunch and hang out and all the things, so.
You guys that remember Algie Shivers, anything you can share with us? What do you
He
remember?
told the best stories.
Okay.
Really sweetheart, funny guy. I remember my grandfather, so World War I, or
Okay.
in Algie when he went to serve, was the first time he encountered segregation or Jim Crow.
Yep.
Can you imagine some guy from the valley?
Yep.
And suddenly he's in a foreign country in a war, and he was what, 17?
Yep. It's mentioned, Kevin mentioned it in the book about culture shock, after having been in a community that was mixed, to being in World War I, that was not mixed.
Yeah.
So what did
the
he?
outside world.
So what did he have to say?
It was just, he was like, it was strange, it was different, I was glad to come home. He came back with some French, and by the way, he spoke fluent Czech. I remember him Czech. Well, they were surrounded by,
Okay.
by Czechs, and you can't beat them, join them. And Algie was incredibly smart. And he went to a four-year college with people around here that didn't finish high school,
Okay.
He went to William Jefferson College, St. Louis or
See,
Kansas City.
right on this.
Anybody know more than
It's
I
on
do?
No, I don't know, I just know that the check,
Sedona, Missouri.
Okay.
yeah, the check makes sense because my grandpa was Czech and 6 of his first cousins married into these families.
6 of
My grandpa's first cousins
married into
married
the
into the Raggards, the Valvos.
Okay.
Right, so which was kind of, unusual, so it makes sense that he spoke Czech because the communities were all kind of
Mhm.
together.
He also had a bunch of patents at the university, not just around barns, but cow watering system. He was a self-taught engineer. When he majored in college, I don't know.
See, this is, I mean, history's always evolving and you learn new stuff that needs to be expanded into the information that we have now. So,
When they came into the pharmacy, she was like everybody stopped to go hug them because they were elderly then. And it was they were the sweetest people.
by the time of the Shivers, were they the only black folks there?
No, we invented blackish and whitish long before the TV show.
Understood.
Everybody intermarried.
Okay.
My generation is kind of we tan better and our hair's curly.
The reason I asked was, were they treated okay?
That was interesting. I would say by the locals, absolutely.
Yeah.
They were one of us.
I don't
Otis once said when Milwaukee had the civil rights movement and things were getting a little tense in the outside world,
Right.
he said he felt there was a shift.
Oh, that's sad.
I don't know whether it was local or outside of the area, but they were.
I'd sure like to hear your stories.
I had
And I can kind of expand on that a little bit. During the 1850 Slave Act you had mentioned, McCaja was a Methodist minister. And a lot of his children had interracial married at that time. And at the time the 1850 Slave Act was going on, it was the one drop blood, that they were worried about. And Wisconsin was where everybody was kind of going. And he came up with his minor children. And he stayed in Baraboo, and he walked with his gun, his tent, and backpack to Rebels Valley, Highway 33. In the middle of winter, he walked from there to La Crosse to claim Homestead. And walked all the way back, but he had to wait till spring to go back to Baraboo to bring the rest of the family up. But once he claimed Homestead, the majority of his children that were down in Indiana, Georgia, they followed him up here. There was just a couple that didn't. There was some that did and moved back.
Yeah, so it surprised me that it was said that Wisconsin was one of the places people went because, you look at Milwaukee and it's one of the most segregated cities.
Yeah.
La Crosse is known as a sundown town in the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of threw me off a little bit that, Wisconsin, and so that's kind of my question. It's just, it confused me a little bit as to how it affected later history.
How did Wisconsin start out being so
Gung-ho
progressive
and-
and to not so progressive?
Yeah.
Well, Sally Hemings' kids moved to Madison.
Huh?
Sally Hemings, Thomas Jefferson's
What
sons
about
moved
her?
to Madison.
Wisconsin was a young state at that time.
Right?
Yeah.
So everybody was
Hemings'
coming.
kids moved to Madison.
Oh, Sally Hemings / Thomas Jefferson's
Right.
kids moved to
They were-
Wisconsin. See,
Yeah.
that, I did not know that. Yes. Well, And there's a handout side too. Handout side.
I'm from southern Wisconsin, originally, and there was a family, again, you mentioned barbering was quite popular.
Yep.
They had a very strong barbering family in Janesville, Wisconsin, the Davises. Were they from this area? Also, southern Wisconsin was also, Beloit was very prominent in mixed, families.
Interesting.
I went to school with this young man, his sister went to school with his sister, very, very popular. And, I totally new to this, because I went to college with one of the Moss boys, and,
Do you know which one? Orby or Raymond?
not the one that went to Racine, but Ray, I think. is the one
Raymond, yeah,
that's-
Raymond still lives in
Yeah.
Onalaska.
So I was, interested to know, because they were at the time, that I was the only family in Wisconsin. But did they emanate from this area, or did they come out of the, northern Illinois Beloit area?
In order to answer that question, you might want to visit the Milwaukee, what do you call it? The Jewish, the Black Holocaust.
Yes.
The Milwaukee Holocaust. The people that founded the Black Holocaust in Milwaukee would have access to information about southern Milwaukee. I know there's a lot, but like I said, the money for our project was to focus on here. So that, when people give you money, you have to do what they tell you to do. So that's
Like a job.
that's okay.
These are just little snippets. One is, I took a group of people for a tour through Cheyenne Valley. Number one, there was never a Cheyenne anywhere to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a white man's figure. Fancy it is. Number two, it is the first non-religious integrated school in the history of the country.
Did not know that.
And the first black postmaster in the country.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Came from Cheyenne
When
Valley.
Wesley Barton came in and
Barton,
was his
yeah.
grandson was the first, that's up on Bird.
Yeah.
See, I mean, tip of the
Cheyenne, let me go back to her Cheyenne thing, because we get the question, because we were always told we were Cherokee. And McCage's father was Cherokee. He was on the Cherokee Reservation. McCage was born on Cherokee. McCage was born on Cherokee lands. They are native, him and Morning Bull.
But he had mentioned Lumpy because our historian had mentioned the Lumpy.
Yep, the Lumbee Indians. They later moved towards that area, the Lumberton. But the question is we were always told we were Cherokee, so where did the Cheyenne name come from when that's out west? And it was always Revels Valley, because McCage was the first one to settle there. He was there 12 years, other than his family, before others started slowly, coming into the valley. And it's on the plat maps, the two 1800 plat maps that we have. It's called Revels Valley. It wasn't until the mid-1930s that we started seeing Cheyenne pop up. Cheyenne Valley, originally, if you come off in Burr, if you know your directions, come off in Burr like you're heading to Wildcat, when you get to the bottom of the hill, it's Town Line Road. We would take our dump. That was the original Cheyenne Valley, was that road. And somehow, and there was actually, McCage, they had a store, they had a blacksmith shop, they had a state factory, we got a picture with the state factory. They had their own little community there. If you could, this gravestones of Mourning and Micaiah, I'm going to assume those are in Cheyenne Valley. Revels Valley, yeah. It's the Revels Cemetery. It was a private cemetery. It's called Revels Cemetery. It is private. It's on private land that they once owned.
Now, these are at Forest Home Cemetery, correct? But these, we had to get out of the car and walk
Well,
up.
but Marty and Makeja are both on one headstone.
I know.
Yeah, oh, you got the front and the back, yes, correct.
But we had to walk up a hill and